Hey classmates, it's Alicia Carter, and this is my presentation. So, the show that I chose to do was NBC's The Office, which aired from 2005 to 2013. It is a spin-off of the original UK The Office, which followed the same storyline, a mockumentary-styled sitcom that documented the everyday lives of a paper sales company. Probably the main two differences of the two and why the American version was far more successful than the original UK version is the overall tone of the show. The British UK version was very dry humor, dull, grouchy characters, definitely some funny moments, but the tone gave me a very Squidward vibe. The American version was the exact opposite. SpongeBob, actually, was very cheery, funny, quirky, had childlike, i.e., Michael Scott characters that gave the show a completely different tone. So much that you can actually see this change in even the lighting and the costumes and props used in the show now. This is probably also related to, the technology difference, but there's honestly a huge change of just like the overall look, like even with colors and just things like that of the show from season 1 to 2 and then like for the rest of them. In the very first season of the American version, it was very dull, minimal bright colors, characters were still being developed. The Office was very modular and improv-like in production, and the characters really grew into themselves as the show progressed season to season. They were literally developing. It was like watching a shy kid blossom into this like social butterfly, kind of like the character transformation of Pam Beesly. The show isn't hard to follow by any means, meaning that you don't have to watch the episodes or the seasons in order to get a good laugh and understand what's going on. It's honestly just pure comedy. The writer and executive producer explained production of the show as being like homemade movies. Characters all have a dynamic and relationship with one another, and the show just follows them from season to season. Something I found very interesting while doing my research was that the actual editing of the clips in the show is very unique. If you've seen The Office, you know that a huge portion of the show is cutaway reaction shots outside of the dialogue of what's actually going on, from different characters. The editors were explaining how people think that the shots are perfect and often get asked how they plan to have like so many characters, all pointed at Angela while Michael's over here reading his script so that they can get the perfect reaction shot, and they said that's actually not what happens oftentimes. What really happens is that they use reaction shots from scenes and even episodes like way prior to the one that we're actually watching, and they do this very regularly. They explain that the production process is very limited and hectic, and they rely on the script and the cast to be reliant on improv. They only get a week's time to write a new script, get the actors reading and rehearsing it, and then actually shooting it. Because it's a 30-minute show, and they had a new episode come out every week. It's very untraditional of a show to do things like that, and even though it was hectic and probably very challenging, it worked for the show and it made it what it was. The Office has its own large and growing community, so to speak, much like Harry Potter fans. And since The Office does such a good job at including and representing such a wide variety of people, the fan base is very diverse. One of my friends, she's in grad school in Florida, she was actually telling me about how she has a professor that, she's a kinesiology major, by the way, has a professor that on their tests, how professors ask like very situational questions with like these hypothetical people and situations. The entire test was The Office, characters from The Office, like dialogue, situations from The Office, and I was like, oh my gosh, if I knew your professor, we would be best friends. Even if I don't know anyone and I hear like an Office reference or if someone's talking about The Office, I'm like, hold on, we gotta talk because that is my show. I think that a huge piece in The Office's success is, of course, the humor, because that's going to make any sitcom, but the actual production of the show. The show wouldn't be what it is without its unique camera style. It's kind of like watching a vlog. Like, cameras. It's like it's a mockumentary, so it's like a documentary, but you know, we're actually watching the show through the lens of somebody following them around. You know, there you might see a mic every now and then, or the characters will look off to the camera, or you know, it's very funny. The production process is also very unique, and it's very like realistic. Everyone is represented in the show. There's gay people, there's single women looking to adopt, there's theater nerds, cat ladies, single people, married people, hopeless romantics, actual romantics, cheaters, old people, hypersexual people, really inappropriate people, single fathers, just plain weird people. I mean, if you name it, I'm sure that they've got it covered. Some of the characters are even named after the actors' first names, like Phyllis. Her name actually is Phyllis. Angela, her name actually is Angela. And I thought that that was, you know, very neat, and I thought that that also made it very easy for them to develop themselves and kind of grow into their characters. And all of the actors really made the show what it was. The producers said that they honestly didn't really know what to expect from the show and its success. If they would make it past the season 1 or even its pilot episode, just because the British UK version was so well known, and you know, they had a lot to live up to, and also they wanted to change. You know, like that was such a good show, but you know, we don't want to copy them. Of course, we want to live up to the name, but we also want to make it like 10 times better. And they had no idea how exactly they were going to do that, but they ended up doing that. So little did they know that even after nearly 6 years of being off the air, the show is still doing so well, probably better than it was when it was on air. And then you have, you know, people like me who are graduating in 10 days, and I will have an office quote on my graduation cap. You know, I bet they didn't think that the show was going to have that much of an influence on people. But the show was great, and I'm Alicia. And I really enjoyed this class, and I hope all of y'all did well, and that, you know, I wish y'all luck in the rest of y'all studies. So I bid you all an adieu. Goodbye.